everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. But what did Viktor Frankl really mean when he wrote these words? And how did a man who lost everything find the key to human resilience? This is the extraordinary story of Viktor Frankl, the man who discovered meaning in the darkest chapters of human history. Viktor Emil Frankl was born in Vienna in 1905, the son of a civil servant who valued education and moral integrity. From an early age, young Viktor showed an insatiable curiosity about the human mind and the deeper questions of existence. His childhood was marked by profound philosophical questioning that set him apart from his peers. While other children played games, Viktor pondered the nature of consciousness and the purpose of human existence. He pursued medicine and specialized in neurology and psychiatry, becoming fascinated with what drove people to find purpose even in their darkest moments. By his 20s, Frankl was already developing revolutionary ideas that would challenge the dominant psychological theories of his time. While Freud focused on the will to pleasure and Adler emphasized the will to power, Frankl was convinced that humans were primarily driven by something deeper, the will to meaning. This wasn't merely theoretical speculation for the young psychiatrist. He observed it daily in his clinical practice, watching patients who had everything yet felt empty, while others facing tremendous hardships maintained remarkable resilience. What made the difference? Frankl began to understand that meaning, not pleasure or power, was the fundamental human motivation. During his early career, Frankl worked with suicidal patients and noticed something remarkable. Those who found reasons to live, whether caring for a loved one, completing important work, or serving a cause greater than themselves, showed dramatic improvements. This observation would later become central to his therapeutic approach. He began developing techniques that focused not on past traumas or unconscious drives, but on future possibilities and personal meaning. But theory would soon meet the ultimate test of reality. In September 1942, Viktor Frankl, his pregnant wife Tilly, and his elderly parents were arrested and deported to Nazi concentration camps. In a single moment, everything he had built, his practice, his research, his first manuscript tucked inside his coat, was stripped away. The Nazis confiscated his life's work, forcing him to start over with nothing but his observations and memories. The young psychiatrist, who had spent years studying human behavior, would now experience the most extreme conditions imaginable. Yet even in the depths of Auschwitz, Theresienstadt, Kaufering, and Turkheim, Frankl maintained his scientific mind. He observed not just his own psychological responses, but those of fellow prisoners. What he witnessed would forever change psychology. He watched strong men crumble, while seemingly weaker individuals maintained their inner dignity. He saw acts of extraordinary kindness and horrifying cruelty, sometimes from the same people under different circumstances. In the camps, Frankl noticed something remarkable that would become the foundation of his life's work. Some prisoners, despite facing identical horrors, maintained their inner dignity, while others collapsed into despair. The difference wasn't physical strength, social status, education, or even luck. It was something more profound, their ability to find meaning in their suffering. Those who had a reason to live, a purpose that transcended their immediate circumstances, showed extraordinary resilience. Frankl himself clung to several sources of meaning during his imprisonment. First was the vision of reuniting with his beloved wife Tilly and rebuilding their life together. Second was his determination to reconstruct his lost manuscript and share his psychological insights with the world. Third, and perhaps most importantly, was his commitment to helping fellow prisoners maintain hope and dignity. These purposes became his anchor in an ocean of meaninglessness. The daily reality of camp life tested every aspect of human endurance. Prisoners faced starvation, disease, brutal labor, and the constant threat of death. Many succumbed not to physical hardship, but to psychological collapse, what Frankl called giving up their hold on life. He observed that this surrender often began with the loss of faith in the future. When prisoners stopped believing tomorrow could be different, they died within days, regardless of their physical condition. But Frankl also witnessed remarkable examples of human transcendence. He saw prisoners share their last piece of bread with others. He watched men and women maintain their moral compass despite overwhelming pressure to abandon it. He observed acts of love, compassion, and sacrifice that proved the indestructible nature of the human spirit. These experiences convinced him that even in the most constraining circumstances, we retain the freedom to choose our response. The loss of his beloved wife Tilly was devastating beyond words. She had perished in Bergen-Belsen while he survived Auschwitz. His parents, too, had died in the camps. His father of pneumonia and exhaustion, his mother in the gas chambers. His brother Walter had also perished. Everything personal had been taken from him. His entire world had been destroyed. Yet paradoxically, these profound losses deepened his understanding of his life's work. He realized that meaning could be found not just in happiness and success, but especially in how we face unavoidable suffering. This insight would become the cornerstone of his revolutionary approach to psychology. Suffering, when it cannot be changed, becomes an opportunity for growth and meaning-making. This didn't mean glorifying pain or seeking it out, but recognizing its potential for human transformation when courageously confronted. When liberation came, in April 1945, Frankl faced a choice that would define his legacy. He could have retreated into private grief, focused solely on rebuilding his personal life and processing his trauma. Many survivors chose this path, understandably so. Instead, Frankl chose to transform his experience into a gift for humanity. He felt a profound responsibility to honor the memory of those who died by sharing what he had learned about human resilience and the search for meaning. In just 9 days, during the summer of 1945, he dictated his observations and insights to create what would become one of the most influential books of the 20th century. He called it Ein Psychologe erlebt das Konzentrationslager, later translated as Man's Search for Meaning. This slim volume would go on to sell millions of copies worldwide, offering hope to countless individuals facing their own forms of suffering. The Library of Congress named it one of the 10 most influential books in American history. But Frankl didn't stop with writing. He dedicated his life to developing what he called logotherapy, literally meaning therapy through meaning. This became known as the Third Viennese School of Psychotherapy, following Freud's psychoanalysis and Adler's individual psychology. Logotherapy was built on 3 fundamental pillars: that emerged from his camp experiences and subsequent research. The first pillar was the freedom of will. According to Frankl, even in the most constraining circumstances, we retain the freedom to choose our response. This isn't about changing external circumstances. Often we cannot, but about choosing our attitude toward those circumstances. This freedom exists in the space between stimulus and response, in that moment when we decide how to react. The second pillar was the will to meaning. Frankl argued that our primary drive isn't pleasure, as Freud suggested, or power, as Adler proposed, but the search for meaning and purpose. When people find their lives meaningful, they can endure almost any hardship. When meaning is absent, even comfortable lives feel empty and depressing. This will to meaning, Frankl believed, was the fundamental human motivation. The third pillar was the meaning of life. Frankl taught that life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable ones. This meaning isn't abstract or philosophical, but deeply personal and specific to each individual and situation. It cannot be given by others or found in generic formulas. Each person must discover their own meaning through their choices, actions, and responses to life's challenges. The practical applications of logotherapy were revolutionary for their time. Unlike traditional therapy that focused primarily on past traumas or unconscious drives, logotherapy looked toward the future, toward what gave a person's life purpose and direction. This future-oriented approach helped patients move beyond their problems toward meaningful goals and activities. Frankl developed specific techniques that embodied his philosophical insights. Paradoxical intention involved encouraging patients to wish for or exaggerate their symptoms, often leading to their reduction. For example, someone with insomnia might be told to try staying awake as long as possible. By removing the anxiety about the symptom, patients often found relief. Another technique, dereflection, helped people stop obsessing over their problems by redirecting their attention toward meaningful activities and relationships. Instead of focusing inwardly on their difficulties, patients were encouraged to engage with purposes and people outside themselves. This shift in focus often led to natural healing and growth. Socratic dialogue was another key component of logotherapy. Rather than telling patients what their lives should mean, Frankl asked questions that helped them discover their own sources of meaning. This approach respected the individual's responsibility for their own life while providing guidance in the discovery process. What made Frankl's approach so powerful was its foundation in lived experience rather than abstract theory. He had tested his ideas in the ultimate laboratory of human suffering. When he spoke about finding meaning in pain, it wasn't philosophical speculation, it was hard-won wisdom. He understood that while we cannot always choose what happens to us, we can always choose how we respond. This choice, this last of human freedoms, becomes the foundation of human dignity and resilience. Frankl's influence extended far beyond the therapy room. His ideas became fundamental to what we now call positive psychology, the scientific study of human flourishing. Modern research has validated many of his insights about the importance of meaning and purpose for mental health and overall well-being. Studies consistently show that people with a strong sense of purpose live longer, experience less depression and anxiety, and show greater resilience in the face of adversity. The neuroscience of meaning has revealed fascinating insights that support Frankl's observations. When people engage in meaningful activities, their brains show increased activity in areas associated with reward and satisfaction. Meaning making appears to strengthen the immune system, reduce inflammation, and promote overall health. These findings provide biological support for what Frankl understood intuitively from his experiences. The global impact of Frankl's work has been extraordinary. Logotherapy institutes exist on every continent, training therapists in his methods. His books have been translated into dozens of languages, reaching cultures far removed from his Viennese origins. Corporate leaders study his principles for creating meaningful work environments. Educators apply his insights to help students find purpose in their studies. His ideas have transcended psychology to influence philosophy, theology, business management, and social work. In healthcare, Frankl's insights have revolutionized approaches to terminal illness, chronic pain, and mental health treatment. Medical professionals now recognize that helping patients find meaning in their suffering can be as important as treating physical symptoms. Hospice care, in particular, has embraced logotherapeutic principles in helping people face death with dignity and purpose. But perhaps most importantly, Frankl's message remains profoundly relevant in our contemporary world. In an age of increasing anxiety, depression, and what some call existential vacuum, a feeling of meaninglessness, his insights offer a roadmap for recovery. He understood that modern society, despite its material advances, often leaves people feeling empty and directionless. The solution isn't found in external achievements or possessions, but in discovering what makes our individual lives meaningful. Consider how Frankl's wisdom applies to today's challenges. When someone faces job loss, they can choose to see it as a catastrophic failure or as an opportunity to reassess their values and pursue more meaningful work. When confronted with illness, one can focus solely on the physical limitations or find new ways to contribute and connect with others. When experiencing relationship difficulties, we can choose bitterness or use the challenge as a catalyst for personal growth and deeper understanding. The digital age presents unique challenges that Frankl's insights help address. Social media often promotes comparison and superficial connections, leading to feelings of inadequacy and isolation. Frankl's emphasis on authentic meaning and genuine relationships provides an antidote to these modern ailments. His teaching that meaning comes from what we give to the world, not what we receive from it, offers guidance for navigating an increasingly narcissistic culture. The beauty of Frankl's approach lies in its democratic nature. Meaning isn't reserved for the privileged or the exceptionally talented. A parent caring for a child, a teacher inspiring students, an artist creating beauty, a neighbor offering kindness, all these contain the seeds of profound meaning. Frankl taught that meaning can be found through three primary sources: creative values, experiential values, and attitudinal values. Creative values involve what we give to the world through our work, deeds, and contributions. This might be raising children, creating art, building businesses, or serving others. The key is that these activities align with our deepest values and contribute something positive to the world. Experiential values represent what we take from the world through experiences of truth, beauty, and love. This includes appreciating nature, forming deep relationships, enjoying art, and opening ourselves to life's richness. These experiences become meaningful when we fully engage with them and allow them to transform us. Attitudinal values, the stance we take toward unavoidable suffering, were particularly significant in Frankl's thinking. He argued that when we can no longer change our circumstances, we are challenged to change ourselves. The way we bear our suffering can be a profound achievement, transforming personal tragedy into human triumph. This doesn't glorify suffering or suggest we should seek it out, but rather acknowledges that when suffering is unavoidable, it can become an opportunity for growth and meaning-making. Frankl's personal example embodied these principles throughout his life. After the war, he remarried Anna Katharina Gertrude Schwind in 1947, and they had a daughter, Gabriele. He rebuilt his career, eventually becoming a professor at the University of Vienna and a world-renowned speaker. He wrote over 30 books, received 29 honorary doctorates, and was awarded numerous prizes and distinctions. Yet he never portrayed himself as a hero or claimed to have all the answers. Instead, he remained humble about his insights, always emphasizing that meaning is deeply personal and must be discovered by each individual. He continued practicing as a therapist well into his 80s, always learning from his patients and refining his understanding of human nature. His later works explored the spiritual dimensions of meaning-making while maintaining his scientific approach to psychology. The psychiatrist who entered the concentration camps as a young man emerged with a message that would outlive him by generations. He showed us that even in humanity's darkest moments, the human spirit remains undefeatable. Not because we can avoid suffering, we cannot, but because we can choose what suffering means to us. We can decide whether our pain will embitter us or deepen our compassion, whether our losses will defeat us or strengthen our commitment to what matters most. Today, decades after Frankl's death in 1997, his voice continues to speak to millions. His words comfort the grieving, inspire the discouraged, and guide the searching. He reminds us that life's meaning isn't something we find like a hidden treasure, but something we create through our choices, relationships, and responses to whatever circumstances we face. In a world often focused on eliminating discomfort and maximizing pleasure, Frankl offers a more profound path, the path of meaningful engagement with life in all its complexity. If this exploration of Viktor Frankl's extraordinary life and revolutionary ideas has resonated with you, consider subscribing to our channel and sharing this message with others who might find hope in his wisdom. After all, as Frankl himself taught us, when we know our why, we can endure almost any how.